everybody. Welcome to the first ever YouTube episode of the Illuminutty podcast. I'm going to go over an introduction of myself and what I want this podcast to be, and then I'm going to dive into what's been going on in the transfer portal and the impact of NIL and portal on high school recruiting now, and what I think touch on a little bit of what I think our strategy is going to be. I'll start by introducing myself. Those of you that do not know me, my name is Mika Hanna. I have always loved sports, and I was that has grown to be how I make a connection with people, because I was born prematurely, and because of that, I have a disability, and I had a hard time connecting with people through school and stuff. So sports was always my outlet. I used it to bond with my dad, and it's become how I make friends now. I've become a big part of Buckeye Nation. Um, I'm sure some of you guys have seen me on other podcasts and other shows covering recruiting and Ohio State football, and I'm just grateful to be able to share my passion with everyone and use my platform to connect with people and connect with what I think is the greatest fan base in the world. And I'm thankful to Eric Boggs and the great team I have at the OHIO podcast for allowing me to be part of the team and giving me these platforms to share my passion with everyone. And I hope that we can continue to grow and be successful. And I want this to be as fan friendly as possible. If you guys want something you want me to cover, feel free to message me about it. Leave it in the comment. If there's a prospect you want my opinion on, or film you want me to check out, or rumor you want me to dive into, or conspiracy theory involving sports that you want me to cover, just leave it in the comments, or I'll even leave my email, or you can drop it over on Patreon. There's lots of different ways to get a hold of me. I want this to be as fan friendly as possible, and I want you guys to have fun with it and get something out of it, even if it's just a good time. I'm just here to share my passion with people and entertain you guys. And if you're not entertained, you don't have to watch. But if you're willing to listen, I'd love to share things with you. I want to start by covering some of the additions that we got in the transfer portal. The one that I'm highest on, and I don't think people are really that high on him right now, is Terry Moore, the safety out of Duke. I think he's a high IQ kid. I love his ability to cover and his speed, his instincts. He's long and lanky at 6'1", almost 200 pounds. He's a ball hawk, creates turnovers, and I love what Ohio State's doing with getting guys out of the portal that are specializing in creating turnovers. We got Terry Moore, and then we got Earl Little Jr., the guy with NFL bloodlines from Florida State. They both are very speedy cover guys that can be very versatile. Me and Buck Vader both agree that Earl Little Jr. will probably play a lot of nickel for us. I think Terry Moore could be like a Malik Hooker type role, or maybe even be out help with outside corner if Devin Sanchez needs more time to develop, because I think he's that rangy and that athletic, and I love his size and I love his IQ. Now, a lot of these guys that we got out of the portal have had a history of injuries. Like Terry Moore had an ACL injury. He got it while making an interception for Duke in their bowl game, anyone, just in case anyone's curious, because he's that type of ball hawking safety. He just creates turnovers even when he's injured. But I think all these guys are going to be healthy for us, and if nothing else, they're going to be great. De- Provide depth for our roster and leadership and veteran voices. Which, if we've learned anything from Indiana, that's what we need to improve on. We need to get more veteran voices and veteran leadership to help bring these young guys along. What are your thoughts on it, Podfather?
Well, thank you first off, Mika, for having me on the Illuminutty podcast. It is the greatest name in podcast history. I do attest to that. I do love the name of your show.
Thank you.
And we're excited to have it here on YouTube under the OHIO podcast umbrella. So I just want to throw that out there to you as well. As for your question about the senior leadership that these players bring to the table coming out of the transfer portal, every single one so far that Ohio State has acquired has been in college for no less than 4 years, many
Yep.
of which are fifth year seniors. So they've been in college for 5 years or longer. In one case, Hunter Welsing, I think, is going to be his seventh year in college.
Yeah, he's a
Uh,
2020 kid.
Yeah, there are three of these guys who are redshirt juniors, meaning they were redshirted as freshmen or sophomores. And even though this will be their quote unquote junior year, it is their fourth year in college, like a senior. So this is like to your point, Mika. This is very much the Indiana like approach that a lot of people have been talking about, where Indiana has been basically waltzing their way through the college football playoff, dominating 19, 18, 19, 20-year old 4 and 5 stars with their 3-star 23, 24-year-old men.
Yep.
And that I think is something that Ohio State noticed, they've been seeing, and they are gravitating towards when it comes to the transfer portal. Very different philosophy, mind you, than what Ryan Day said used to be the philosophy for Ohio State when it came to the transfer portal, which was much more looking for younger guys with multiple years of eligibility remaining.
Yep.
This is definitely a change in philosophy, and one that we physically now can, with our own two eyes, see what Ryan Day is doing.
And I love bringing in the guys from Alabama that we did. Quay Russaw and um, James Smith. The outside linebacker, edge guy for Russaw, and uh, DT Lee Tech for James Smith. They're both great at getting penetration. Uh, James is a big DT. I think he's going to be a three tech for us, but he has rushed off the edge at times at Alabama. Like, I think they both being positional versatility, which is, I think, what Ryan Day and the Ohio State staff has been looking for. If you noticed in the recruiting class, says that we've been bringing in and the portal guys that we've been bringing in, a lot of them are capable of playing lots of different positions, which just means that opens up different, like, defense and offensive options on the field and we can utilize the players in different ways and just be more creative. And the more creatively we can play and the more different schemes we can throw at opponents, the better it's going to be for us. And having veteran players on the team is just going to make that easier for the young guys to absorb stuff, and the coaches don't have to worry so much about the players not knowing what they're doing. Because when you got veteran guys out there, it's like having coaches on the field. They can relay stuff. You don't have to spoon feed them. They know what they're doing, and they can, like I said, perform at a high level and teach the younger guys, help bring the younger guys along to that. And the last couple guys that we got from Alabama worked out really well for us. Julian Sayin and Caleb Downs, so I'm not gonna argue with any of it. We can bring in as many Alabama kids as they want to come here. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and one of the things you mentioned was their experience and how they're like coaches on the field. They're not going to be as surprised or as confused by things because they've seen a lot more, right? Go,
Yeah.
game reps are so critical, in my opinion, to the evolution of a player, the growth of a player. It's one of the reasons why all you guys, Mika, you included, you guys all preach rotation, rotation, rotation.
Yes, that's been my catchphrase for the last year and a half. I feel like a broken record. Like I kept saying it. We need to rotate more. We need to get these guys snaps and experience and just let them see things because there's such a big difference between practice and live game reps. And I don't think your average fan knows realizes how big of a difference it makes for these guys to see live game reps, to see guys in a different jersey coming at you, the speed, the you. It's different when you're going against your teammates than when you're going against someone that actually is meaning to hurt you. Not that guys don't get nasty in practice. I've heard stories. I know guys do, but it's different when they're wearing a different uniform.
Yeah, 100%. It's what competition's all about. Now, you want to compete against your teammates, but at some point, all of that practice when you're competing against your teammates is based on competing against the opponent that you are going to eventually face. And it's just a different level. I mean, for instance, at practice they do a lot of thud tackling. Okay, there's no thud tackling in the game. It's real tackling. It's mano y mano. It's man on man. It's I'm going to take your head off type of philosophy, and you can't simulate that. It's so hard to simulate that in practice. So there's nothing that can take away the value, in my opinion, of a real live game rep.
And the more you get these veteran guys in and around these young players, it shows them how to conduct themselves and how to be how to be leaders. And it's not just on the field stuff. You're bringing in high character guys that have seen all kinds of different aspects of the game, that have been through it, and it'll help mature the young guys and, like I said, bring them along. And I think Larry Johnson and uh, Matt Guerreri and Tim Watt are going to have a field day with some of these versatile guys that we're bringing in. Even Keenan Bailey with Hunter Elsing. Like, yeah, I think Hunter is more of a blocker type tight end, but he can catch. He can be flexible. I've went back and watched his high school tape. He may be the old man in the room, but he can ball too. Like, and having
Having
that
that
much experience is just gonna be great for these young guys and great for these coaching staff. They won't have to worry about as much, and they'll be able to relax and be a little bit more creative and free thinking. I think it helps free their minds up. They can relax and
and
focus
focus
on different ways
on
move the players around and scheme things up to where we can fly around a little bit more and be a little bit more creative and bring that juice back into both sides of the ball on offense and on defense. Because I think we lacked lot of juice, especially at the end of the seasons in the last two games.
Yes, we did. And, this is the Illuminati, so we do put our tinfoil hats on here.
Yeah, you guys are going to hear that phrase a lot. That's one of my favorite phrases.
So that being said, this next comment I'm about to make, Mika, relates exactly with what you just said. There was a very good opportunity. There was a very good chance that this coaching staff was doing a lot of babysitting with a lot of these younger players, which is why I think you see a lot of them in the transfer portal.
Yeah, I think you can't you can't come in to high level college ball and expect to be spoon fed. There's a certain point where these coaches get fed up with just, and I mean, it's part of growing up, right? And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. People mature at different rates, and that's okay. But when you come to Ohio State, there's a certain level of readiness that you need to have, a certain level of maturity, and just, just what do I want to say here? Not experience, but you have to, you have to be level
level
headed.
head.
You can't be doing the same stuff you did in high school. You can't expect the same type of treatment you got as a 5 star. Yeah, you
Team
5 star.
5 star
Yeah, you might have been a 5 star recruit, but once you get into Ohio State and stuff, that ranking doesn't matter anymore. And I think a lot of these guys
is
get
get
caught up smelling themselves a little bit and just, I was a 5 star, I was a 5 star, a high 4 star or whatever, and they expect a little bit of the red carpet treatment, and when that doesn't happen, they get a little disgruntled.
Well, I think the terminology you're looking for here is that the adults, they need to eventually put away childish things and be adults.
Yep,
And when you're like right now, the Indiana Hoosiers, they don't care what your star rating is.
yep,
Indiana is looking across the field at Miami, and the last thing on their mind was their recruiting rankings.
and and I don't know if you remember this, but remember back in the day what they always used to say about the NFL being a copycat league? Well, that has trickled down to college football. I mean, it's always been a part of college football, but it's even more a part of it now. We are NFL Wild West division. Like, we're not NFL light. Things are crazy right now with NIL and transfer portal and everything. And if they people used to say that the NFL was a copycat league, college football is no exception to that. And uh, Indiana has left the blueprint of how things are going to be done. And to go into my bigger topic for today, I think that's going to be have a big impact on how Ohio State goes about high school recruiting. Now, I'm not going to cover all of it because me and Vader did a killer article over on uh, POHIO podcast Patreon that laid out this strategy, but I wanted to touch on it for you guys and maybe explain some things because I'm hearing a lot of backlash from the fan base in terms of our lack of bringing in like offensive linemen and top tier like portal receivers and things like that. So I'm gonna touch on what I think, how we're
How we're
gonna
gonna
high school recruiting from now on, and how NIL and stuff has impacted that. What I
I
think is
think is
going to happen is Ohio State's gonna try to bring in the top tier, top end guys at your positions like your JJ Smiths and uh Julian Sands and stuff, and then instead of getting
getting
your mid tier guys, we're gonna hold off on getting those and target proven commodities in the transfer portal. Proven guys that have shown themselves they can play at the college level and supplement guys in that way. And then, if we still need numbers, go back in later, or not later, but go back in and get a look at some of these Ohio kids that have big senior years and stuff and say, hey, you want to be Buckeyes?
us.
And I still think that there's enough pull and enough sentimentality with Ohio kids. You got you still got kids like Jake Cook, remember, that grow up wanting to be Buckeyes and things like that. I know that was a couple years ago, but trust me, they still exist. And that's
That's
gonna
gonna
be
be
how you feel in the holes. Just bringing in proven guys and guys that are willing to stay and develop the late bloomer high school kids that grow up dreaming to be Buckeyes. And I know for a
for a
fact
fact.
Ohio State is uh, planning on implementing a strategy. I can't say how I know, but I know.
I also know how you know, Mika.
I know. Vader is awesome.
Vader is awesome. Um, what do you think about the number of kids that Ryan Day should take from the state of Ohio? Do you think that that's a big thing anymore? Recruiting has become so national. The world has shrunk due to technology of airplanes and airports and whatnot, to where you can jump on a plane, fly across country, watch a football game, fly back across the country, and you can basically do it in a day to a day and a half. Where it used to be basically if you wanted to watch your kid play, you needed him to go to the school in the same state or within a driving distance of where you live in order to watch that child continue on his career. And so I feel like Ohio State had a huge advantage with kids from Ohio because of that.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's still a thing?
I think that that's still a thing. I just think the the timing of the offer seems to matter more now than ever because you got so many different programs coming after these kids. So a lot of them want to be shown love, for lack of a better term, early. early. I do think, like I said, there's still gonna be those late blooming guys that are gonna hold out hope for that Ohio State offer, and if they're good enough, Ohio State's gonna find them. But I think you're gonna see us dive deep into the transfer portal every year, and for someone that follows recruiting and covers recruiting as much as I do, this does kind of hurt because I loved seeing us take these classes and learning about these kids. I loved researching them, and in some cases, getting to know some of them a little bit because you go to root for these kids. You really do. They're the type of kids that Ohio State recruits are usually really good quality human beings, and you enjoy rooting for good people. And I think a lot of the guys that we recruit are good young men and good people, and I enjoy following their stories and watching their careers grow and watching them chase their dreams, whether they end up in the NFL or just playing college, or whether they end up being injury prone, like a guy like Cam Babb. I was a huge Cam Babb fan just because he was such a great person. Like, everybody raved about how great he was, and he just seemed so genuine. And that's the type of kids you root for. And like I said, uh, I fell in love with the stories that come along with recruiting, and seeing that be less important does hurt me a little bit. But uh, like I've said on other shows and in the past, football and life is about adjustments, and if you don't adjust, you go the way of the dodo. And like I said, Indiana has laid out the blueprint, and Ohio State's been receptive to it, and we're gonna put our own little spin on it, I'm sure, and hopefully be even more successful at it than Indiana. But you do have to adjust in college football, especially with everything that's been thrown at us, and the NCAA not stepping in as much as we thought they would, and things. You just constantly got to be ready. Got to keep your head on the swivel.
That's right. Make sure you got the ball in your peripheral vision when you're on that help side defense. Um, it's interesting to hear your take, Mika, on the type of guys we bring in, and that they're good people, and how that we've had to make some adjustments. Do you think the culture at Ohio State has adjusted any, or do you think it's still the same culture? We're just adjusting the plan a little bit.
I think we still have the same cultural expectations of what we want for players, but I think that the way we're going to go about instilling that culture may be a little bit different. Like I said, the utilization of the portal to fill in the veteran uh discrepancies and stuff, I think is going to help uh spread the leadership and stuff, and get us get us to be as similar to the 2024 team as we can be. Because I think, to your point, and you were the first person I heard bring this up, so I want to give you flowers on that. That I think that we were missing a lot of veteran player leadership. I mean, coaches can say stuff till they're blue in the face, but a player's going to respond differently to a player than they will a coach. You're going to respond differently when someone like Caleb Downs grabs you by the face mask and says, "Do your job," and puts more on you than if a coach has done that to you 10 times in practice. When a veteran leader looks at you and says, "You go do what you're supposed to do," and you're out there on that field, and especially if it's a guy like Caleb Downs, I promise you, these young men are gonna want to perform for a, their job for a kid like Caleb Downs. Because I would want to make him mad. Would you want to make him mad?
No, of course not. Absolutely not. You know, it's interesting. This just dawned on me, Mika. Going into this year, Penn State and Clemson were the media darlings because they had all the returning talent.
Yep.
No one anticipated Indiana. Indiana's got all that veteran leadership too. So it's 3 years in a row where we have seen this happen. Assuming Indiana finishes the deal and beats Miami, that'll be 3 years in a row that the oldest team in the Big Ten, as far as just age of players, will have won the national championship. And
Yep.
again, we all thought it was going to be Penn State because they had so much returning on-field talent. What we didn't realize was that there was an even more veteran team than them that was in the Big Ten in the form of the Indiana Hoosiers.
And not to spoil my next Illuminutty episode, but that's gonna get even more crazy with everything going on with Diego Pavia winning his lawsuit. So stay tuned for my thoughts on that on the next episode. But that's just gonna get even more crazy. And like I said, with NIL being available in high school football now in the state and things, like the timeline's gonna get faster for these kids, and then it's gonna slow down because it's gonna be get to college quickly, and then if you're not getting high end first round grade, second round grade, or whatever, slow that clock back down is what's gonna happen
Hmm, that's interesting.
because
That's an interesting take. Yeah, you're right. Unless you're Jeremiah Smith, Caleb Downs,
yeah,
K Mac.
elite level performers.
Yeah, then
And
you just need more time, right?
yep,
And with NIL, you can get paid for it now too. So it's
and
almost like a job, and for some, a very lucrative job.
and I know that rubs the fan base the wrong way, us saying that, because you touched on it. And Bart touched on it too. I want to make sure to give Bart his shout out and give him his flowers too. Um, he touched on it as well. We as a fan base view this as a passion. Some of these players are seeing it as their job. So,
Yeah. Well, it's I got the numbers pulled up right here for you, Mika. 1.6% of NCAA football players make it to the NFL. Only 11% of the top tier conferences. So if you are playing in the Power Four, only 11% who get to the Power Four make it to the NFL. So for 89% of the players in college football who are playing in the ACC, Big 12, SEC, and Big 10,
yep.
they are cashing in because this is the only opportunity they are going to have.
That's why I think you're gonna see a lot more of these kids that perform. Not that we haven't seen a lot more in previous years of kids from lower level programs jumping in the portal and going to bigger programs, but I think that's just gonna increase until we get some sort of regulation put on the portal and stuff because these smaller schools are just going to end up almost being like feeder feeder programs to the bigger the bigger programs, I think. And to me that's sad for the smaller fan bases out there cuz I don't know about you, but I love MAC football. There's a ton of Ohio talent littered throughout the entire MAC conference and FCS football and even like Division 2, Division 3. Like I love smaller level football. I love football at any level. So I hate it for those types of programs, but it's just the different world now, and it's sad in
Had
a
in a
way
way
because those programs are gonna get take a step back and be pushed further down. But it's kind of cool in a way because you're gonna see guys from those programs get more high end opportunities and more small school success stories out of the deal, I think. And I
I
always like
always like
leading
leading
those,
that.
and I know I'm not the only one.
No, you're not. And I'm also a Mac fan as well. Shout out Bowling Green and Eddie George. Uh,
Yeah,
that's uh, that's my adopted Mac school right now since Eddie George is playing is coaching there.
I know,
Uh,
I love Betty.
yeah, trying to persuade my stepson that if he gets an offer to go there,
Oh, that would be awesome.
be like, that's where you want to be, buddy. Very close for his mom to visit as well, and his
Do
dad
it.
to go watch. So
I got a bunch of family members and friends that attended Bowling Green.
I know the Toledo people probably didn't want to hear that because that's their big
Yeah.
rival. But no, I love me the Mac school. This was a really great topic, Mika. Anything else to wrap this thing up? Feel free.
No, I want to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts on different topics and share my passion for Ohio State and college football and my team at the OHIO podcast. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I
I
try to
try to
respond to any comments that are left on my videos. Let me know what you want to see. Like I said, you guys, I will cover anything you guys want to see it as long as it's sports related. I don't get into politics and all that stuff. That stuff breaks me out in hives. I don't like it.
like it.
But I will cover anything sports related you guys want to talk about, especially if it's has to do with my Buckeyes. And I just love interacting with people in the comments. So please share your thoughts. Like I said, I want to make this as fan friendly as possible. And thank you for the opportunity. I couldn't ask for a better team to be a part of, Father. I appreciate everything you do.
Well, we appreciate everything you do. Mika is our recruiting coordinator at the OHIO podcast. She does a great job of keeping us informed on who all the big time recruits are in the state of Ohio and nationally, who Ohio State is interested in. She breaks every one of those recruits down for us over on Patreon for us at the OHIO podcast. She does videos with me when it comes to recruiting over at the OHIO podcast. She is a busy gal, and now she has her own podcast right here on YouTube, the Illuminutty podcast. Make sure you subscribe like she asked. Let's get this thing up to 1,000 subscribers so we can get her paid. All right, that's what we want to do here, man. So
Yeah,
make sure you do your best to do that. Let other Buckeye fans know. Mika's got a great reputation in Buckeye Nation. She's been around in the comment section in the communities and message boards for years. A lot of people know her. Let everybody know. Hey, Mika's got her own podcast. She's got her own YouTube channel. Come subscribe, be a big part of it. We would really appreciate it. And again, leave her some positive comments down in the comment section below. And like she said, if you've got something you'd like to hear, especially if it's a good sports conspiracy theory, that's what we
yeah.
love. That's what this show is about, man. It's a Buckeyes and conspiracy theories. That's what, like we said, we have tinfoil hats on when we do this podcast.
Yes, we do. I need. We really need to make our own tinfoil hats and start wearing them on the show. We really, really do. I need to figure out a way to get my internet going to where I can get the camera on, and you guys can see me wearing a tinfoil hat because I will do it.
There you go. So that's a part of maybe we can get her paid enough to where she can get better internet. How about that, everybody? That sounds great. All right, Mika, send us out, girl.
Love you, Buckeye Nation. Thanks for listening. OH.
IO! Go Bucks!
IO. Go Bucks, and TG would never forgive me if I didn't say it. Scum still sucks.